So you're a first round pick, taken by Vancouver, like I said earlier. What was like the process there? You ended up with us in Philly. Obviously, your first year being that lockout year, which was one of the best years of my life. But can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, I'd say it's a bizarre process. I think probably not the way you want to start out your career, but I did it anyway. So, well, so back then when you leave college, well, I was able to go back to school for a couple of years after I got drafted by Vancouver, and after my junior year, like I said, a pretty good year. Was ready to go. The coach Ohio State was like, "Yeah, it's time for you to move on." Vancouver was ready for me to move on, and we couldn't negotiate anything. The Vancouver with Brian Burke, it got really hardball, and at that time it was before they changed the CBA, and rookies were getting the big bonuses, the full rookie contract, and it wasn't even about the money. I think as a first round pick, all the priority it was established that pretty much that you got all the bonuses, the full contract, and it's just how it was, right? And they were just lowballing me, and so at first we're kind of like going back and forth, and then it got to the point where like they started discrediting my values, and Berg started just taking some shots in the papers and the medias, and it got personal at that point, and that's where it kind of the negotiation changed, and I sat there with my agents, and we had to make a decision: do we take their offer and their with them going after my character and things like that, and or do we hold out and take the risk of not playing hockey for a full year, because being a college player, you couldn't go back once you start negotiating. You're done. Like you
You're
couldn't go back
done.
to
Yeah.
school. And then they also held your rights for the full year, so I couldn't even go to Europe to play. I couldn't go do anything. So
Hmm.
we made the choice. I think maybe we thought maybe things would change. They probably thought I wouldn't sit out the whole year, and after a bunch of different failed attempts, and them actually coming back with more even worse offers when it was insulting, that we just said, hey, we're going to do it, right? And my agent at the time, Mike Liu and Brian Lawton, were really good, and they're completely accurate about everything. They said that there's probably going to be a lockout the next season. They were pretty certain, and they said, you'll have a chance to go play in the A for a year, and catch up on that year that you missed, and you'll wherever it is, you'll have an opportunity to get back to full speed and prove everybody wrong, and then we'll see what happens after that. So in my eyes, I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to be sitting out, but all right, I'll just keep training. I'll get fired up more, and I'll get myself stronger. I viewed it as I had an injury, but I didn't. Right? Guys
Right.
have injuries, knee injuries. They sit out a year and whatever, and I didn't have that. So I was just getting stronger. I was working out. What I end up doing is I end up going and skating with the U.S. program in Michigan, just practicing with them, and waiting till it came like the December 31st. If I didn't have a contract by December 31st, it was pretty much like, all right, it's not going to happen. So that happened. I went back home and was just kind of just off ice for a while in the new year. And I don't know if you guys remember the Bertuzzi incident with Colorado when he got suspended for the rest of the year for, I think, hitting more.
Oh yeah, right.
Yep. Sure
Yeah,
do.
so
Broke
Vancouver
his
had a
neck.
good year. That happened right before the deadline, and so they had to make a move. They end up trading my rights to the Rangers, and they think they got like Martin Ruzinski or somebody for the deal, and whatever. So now all of a sudden, a trade deadline, I'm with the Rangers now, and it's like, okay, well, you haven't been skating in a couple of months. They bring me into to skate with the team. I'm skating with Yager all of a sudden. I go on a road trip. I actually came to Philly for one of their games. I traveled to Philly, and that's another story. Just sitting in the meal room with me and Yager by ourselves in the meal room.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, it was a wild ride, and next thing you know, and then I go down to Hartford for a week to practice with them, and waiting to negotiate a contract with New York. And at this point, like I've sat out 6 months or whatever it was. So close to free agency at 22 years old, which is unheard of, right? So, we couldn't come to an agreement with the Rangers. They wanted me to play on a PTO, and what they really wanted was they wanted the compensation second round pick if they didn't. that's kind of what they traded for, right? They didn't really trade to sign me; they traded to get that pick. So I didn't sign with them. I didn't take the PTO, and my agents were pretty certain on June 1st that I was going to have some teams ready. And sure enough, Philly and Toronto were two of the teams that were aggressive on that first day. And I came in. It was kind of weird because I did like a recruiting visit. I went to Toronto, met with Ferguson, and I came to Philly. I met with Holmgren, picked me up, met with Clark, sat down with Hitch in his office, and then made my decision right then and chose Philly.